Problem 7. For problem 7, I am basically, o sea, I think that this is a very easy problem, so just, we only need to, like, read it carefully, and I have, like, a weird word in here. So, like, I have that my vector A is -2, -1, and 3, no? Because that is how I write it in component form, and now I am writing it like in its, sorry, this is the way I write it in unit vector form, and this is my component form. So, like, this, what is the length of A? O sea, like, if you check what is the length of A, that means, like, what is the magnitude of A? And, like, if you check for the magnitude of A, you can do it into two ways. One way of doing it, again, is by using the formula from the booklet, -2 squared plus -1 squared plus 3 squared. O sea, what is this problem asking you? You have a vector A, no? And you want a vector of length 7 that is parallel to A. So what I am asking right now is, what is the length of A? So the length of A is this number, and this number is the square root of 14, which is not 7. O sea, vector A has a length of the square root of 14. And that is not what I want. I want a vector that is parallel to A, but that it measures 7. I think that 7 is larger than the square root of 14. So what am I going to do? I am going to take vector A, and I am going to shrink it, and then I am going to multiply it. O sea, okay. Let me make a drawing of what we're going to do. I have vector A. Here is vector A. Then I know that vector A has a length of the square root of 14. Okay, so what happens if I multiply 1 over the square root of 14 times A? I'm going to call this vector, I don't know, I'm going to call this vector B. O sea, what do I mean when I say that I am multiplying 1 by the square root of 14 times A? O sea, I mean that I am going to do 1 over the square root of 14 times, what is it? -2, -1, and 3. O sea, this will give me like several numbers, no? -2 square root of 14, -1 square root of 14, 3 square root of 14. So, like, this would be a vector B. O sea, by multiplying it by 1 over the square root of 14, I am going to get another vector, but it's going to be smaller, no? By multiplying by this number, I am shrinking A into B. So B is a vector. B is parallel to A, and the magnitude of B is 1. Do you agree? O sea, like, and you can check this. If you want to check this, check it by using the magnitude formula. But, like, it does make sense that if I take A and I shrink it by its magnitude, I'm going to get a vector with length 1 in the same direction. Okay, but that is not what this problem is asking. This is asking me for a vector of length 7. So what do I do? What do I do to get a vector of length 7? Well, I take B and I multiply it by 7. So this is the vector that I am looking for. That is why if you go into the answers, it is telling you to take vector A. O sea, if you take vector A and multiply it by 7 over the square root of 14, that will give you negative, is it? Yeah. O sea, like this, I'm gonna leave it like this. O sea, this this is the vector that you're looking for. Now, it is asking me to find a, okay, so this was a tough one, no? O sea, like, you have vector A, you shrink it by dividing it by its magnitude, and then, so that you have a unit vector, and then you enlarge it by multiplying it by 7, no? When you shrink it is when you're dividing by the 1 over square root of 14, and when you multiply it by 7 is when you enlarge it. Okay, now this is a crazy word, no? The word normal. The word normal means perpendicular with length of 1, no? O sea, with a magnitude of 1. Okay, so if I am giving you two vectors, if I am giving you vector A and vector B, how do I find a vector that is perpendicular to both? Remember that that is exactly the cross product. The cross product is perpendicular to each of its factors. O sea, so A cross B is perpendicular, and let me write it in purple because I am writing in purple, but it's like one of those things that you need to know by memory. A cross B is perpendicular to A and to B. Okay, how do you find the cross product? The cross product, you find it, there is a formula in the booklet, there is a function in your calculator. So again, remember, go to matrix, vector, blah, 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 blah. Oh no, it's menu, matrices, vectors, vector, cross P. So you have to write cross P. And remember that the vectors go into square brackets, no? So vector A is -2, -1, 3, then a comma to separate the vectors, 3, because I have zero, I have no j component, that is 0, and 5. So the output of this should be the vector -5, 19, and 3. Okay, and now for some reason in the answers they are not requesting this vector to be of length 1, which is weird. O sea, I'm gonna add as a comment in this video, or you can ask me. If you ask me, I would be super happy because that means that you're actually watching this and I am not losing my Sunday just for nothing but you actually care about this. I'm okay. So let me check if you actually need to make this a magnitude of 1 or not. In case this should have a magnitude of 1, what do? Well, you calculate the norm of this, o sea, the norm of this vector. That will give you a number, and you multiply 1 over this number times this vector. No, this is the shrinking factor. This shrink it into a unit vector. This is a unit vector. Okay. Oof, this was tougher than it looked like, no? Problem 7, 6, 7.